So I always laugh at this. When a woman goes through something, y'all call the troops. Y'all going to happy hour, y'all going to brunch, y'all going getting all the girls. Oh my God, we need to talk about. Y'all have like it's like Avengers Assemble
You
for
guys
women.
just suppress it all.
It's like we either suppress, we don't talk about it. Like yo, we gonna get a drink, and we don't talk about it. We talk about the game, and I
Why
think
is that?
it's just a lot of it is just conditioning. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of us men have been brought up to view emotions and vulnerability as a weakness, and I'm like, yo, you gotta address it. The way I man up, I feel what I'm feeling. You acknowledge I don't feel right. And in the past, it's like I don't feel right. Forget talking about it. Let's handle it. That's just in general. That's how a lot of men work. We want to get the results handled.
Hi, Monty.
What's up? What's up?
Thanks for coming today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Um, so I looked a little bit into your background, and you have a very interesting background. It was very captivating.
Yes, captivating. That's a good word. Captivating, tragic, heroic, whatever you want to say.
You
It's
know
pretty
why I
rough.
say that is because like there are so many people out there that are like motivational speakers and life coaches, and a lot of times, you want the person to come from some sort of I don't know, suffering to gain that wisdom to be
Mm.
talking, but it's like if you were literally raised like super comfortable and like you've always
Yeah.
had everything you wanted and you're telling me how to live my life, I don't know.
You know what? It's funny. A lot of the times I talk, most of the people I know that have a just a dope light and are just resilient as ever are people who come from nothing. Like I always ask people when I meet people, like, okay, you got a good vibe. What's the story behind the vibe? Because I
Mhm.
want to know. Because if you haven't had any struggle in your life, you can be an incredible person.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it's hard to draw inspiration
Yeah.
from people who haven't really had a whole lot of struggle. Not to say that they don't know what they're talking about. They might have an expertise, but in the realms of like inspirational, motivational speaking, I have been to some conferences and I'm like, okay, I'm not moved. I mean, you know your stuff. I'm not
I'm not
moved,
moved.
and it's something in us that you have to have, that you gain that light, that resiliency, that swag, for lack of better words, that only comes from coming out of a dark place.
While being humble also.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Real humble. Not
Yeah.
not fake humble. Not
Yes.
and also not too humble because I've fallen victim to being too humble.
Mm.
And when you're too humble, people will overlook you. People will
Mm.
step over you. People will
True.
make you sure your voice is kind of dim so they can be heard. So,
It's so true.
yeah, just that idea of being humble is just I don't need to compete with no one.
It's very true. Yeah. It's absolutely true. Like I know a lot of people who like their main method is self-deprecating jokes, and as much as I love that and I use that tactic myself,
Mm.
but it's like when you overdo it, when you humble yourself too much, that exactly what you said tends to happen a lot.
Oh, it works well with comedians. I love it when comedians do it.
Yeah.
But if you do it too much, it's sometimes because I used to do this. Sometimes
Mhm.
you do that to get to your insecurities, point your insecurities and your shortcomings out before somebody else can get to them. So that's
Yes.
why a lot of people do that. It's like, I'm bald. So if I'm like, oh, I hate being bald. Lucky I got a nice shaped head, so I ain't mad at it. But I'm like, if I'm super insecure about bald, I'm like, hey, I'm bald, I'm bald. No, I wear like a badge of honor now. But a lot of people, they'll get to it so you can't clown them, so you can't make fun of them.
Yeah, but I feel like it should, as you said, only be stuff that you're comfortable with,
Absolutely,
you know? Not
absolutely.
things that are gonna like sting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to get to the point where it's like if somebody else says that, it won't trigger you in any way.
Yeah,
But it takes some
exactly.
time.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, like where you're from,
Okay.
all that good stuff.
I am. I'm like the poster boy for stereotypical black kids growing up. Never knew my dad. My mother was a sex worker for a part of her life. She
From
was,
Brooklyn.
yeah, yeah. She was a drug addict, and because of that, I was just exposed to a lot of horrible things that I don't think anybody should be exposed to. Sleeping in crack houses, watching, prostitution firsthand. I slept in parks for weeks at a time. Me and my brothers, we were put into group homes, and I was in 12 different group homes over the course of 3 years. So you can imagine being 9, 10, 11 years old, constantly being moved from house to house. You kind of, those are the years I believe you start to develop a sense of self.
Right.
And I'm in different situations where nobody looks like me. I was in a group home where I was the only one who spoke English other than the staff who worked there. And then eventually got put into some foster homes, and whew, yeah, that foster child stuff, that was like the start of the childhood trauma.
Yeah.
First foster mother physically abused me and hospitalized me. And it was
Like they would beat you so hard.
yeah, to where I had to be taken to the hospital and staying there for a few days. And then the second foster mother, this is probably the hardest lesson I've ever learned, but the most important in my life. Because we all have this misconception that it's our physical scars that kind of tell our deepest, darkest stories, but it's really the emotional ones. And so my second foster mother locked me in a room for 23 hours a day. We're allowed to come out to eat and play every now and again. And she fed me this false narrative, and forgive me for my language, but she used to say, "You're not shit." And I used to hear that again and again. And I got called stupid so many times that I thought it was my name. And because of that, I took on that false narrative as though it was true, and it sent me into a depression. And I tried to commit suicide on 2 separate occasions because I'm like, well, my biological mom pretty much abandoned me. First foster mother beat me halfway to death, and now this is happening. And it wasn't until I got some therapy and counseling that I was able to appreciate my life, for lack of better words.
Right.
And then by the time I got in the last foster home, I was about to go into high school, and things were better. My foster dad, shout out to Jeffrey Banks, that's my guy, Pops. He was good. My other foster mother, she was what a lot of other foster parents do. Not horrific, but they make it a clear distinction on who the kids were and who the foster kids were. And because of that, we were talking earlier about, being humble. I developed a complex because I was like, I don't like feeling like I'm less than. So then I try to hype myself up and build myself up. And my foster mom would always be like, stop talking about yourself. You're not that good. Like, stop. Not necessarily with like malicious intent, but I'm already coming from all this abuse. So I develop a complex. So talk about being humble or having confidence. I was either way too arrogant and cocky to kind of compensate for my lack of self-esteem, or I played that super humble card to the point where I would shrink and at times disappear. So it took me some years to kind of find that middle ground. But
yeah, because there's like no balance. There's no right center.
No, it's just like, I don't want to feel like this, so I'm going to go full Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to go full Kanye. Or it's like, I'm just going to shrink, and it's just like, I'm a 6'3", 210 big dude. What the hell do I look like shrinking like that?
Hard to shrink.
It's hard to shrink, but I managed to do it, and even into adulthood, going through that, even kind of stunted my acting growth for a second. I'm good now. I'm on 3 shows and all that, but at first it was like I'd go into auditions and stuff, and I still had a little bit of that little boy in me that was still wanted to shrink. So it wasn't really until I started taking control of my life and really like applying myself and learning self-love and starting a healing journey. But my childhood, it was, talk about, dudes like to say women have daddy issues. We got some mommy issues. There's a lot of dudes, and I was one of them who had mommy issues, like hardcore.
Yeah. And now you're doing amazing. You're giving speeches all over the place. You have a beautiful fiance. Shout out to Vanessa, who's here. Wife?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. The wedding was supposed to be last year, but thing called COVID. So, it's going to happen eventually. Eventually the ceremony's going to happen.
You guys make a very beautiful couple. You guys came and I was like, wow.
What
are them babies going to look like?
They're going to have a lot of hair, I'll tell you that.
So first of all, that lady needs to be fired. Somebody needs to fire her, because I don't know who, like, if you're taking care of all these kids, orphan kids, and you're called a mother, and there's a lot of financial gain to be had in foster care. Oh, really?
Absolutely. Depending on the child you take and their mental need issues, or like my brothers, a couple of them have medication. All that goes into how much the state's going to pay you. So a lot of people, they pay their mortgages with kids. So the last one, the first couple of them were horrific. They were monsters. Let's not get it twisted. They were horrific. I am just grateful I survived without too many like unhealable scars. The last one was just typical foster mother stuff, like give you a home, but you're making money.
Yeah. So is she the one who makes money, or does she just work there?
Well, okay, so group homes, it's like orphanages.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Modern day orphanage. You got all young men, all young women in the house, staff. I actually worked at one later on to try to get back. Foster homes, it's just like normal homes. It's literally, if you're like, oh, I want to be a foster mother, you go through this whole process, and you get a kid placed in your care, and then they stay with you until they age out. Adoption is different. Adoption is like, okay, that's my kid now. They're gonna take my last name.
Right.
You know, it's a whole different thing. But it was just, you know, I've met a lot of young men and women who've gone through similar experiences in foster care, and it's pretty rough. But I'm one of the lucky ones that made it out
Yeah.
and able to do something. Because I mean, I got 2 college degrees. Only 1% of former foster youth ever get college degrees,
Yeah.
and so many other people in LA, especially you see homeless. Vast majority of them used to be in the system.
Mm-hmm. So a foster home is where you go to find parents, right?
Yeah.
And a group home is where you go just to get taken care of until you're of age and you get out.
Almost
but no
the
one
same.
comes to basically adopt you.
A group home, that's kind of like a segue. So this is how it worked for me when we were living in the system. So my mother would go through this cycle where she would go on like a drug binge.
Mm-hmm.
She would leave me and my brothers alone at wherever we're living.
Your
and then,
actual mom.
Yeah, my biological
Yeah.
mom. And then eventually we would, whether it was neighbors or whoever she left us with, they'd call Child Protective Services. We get taken to which is a shelter. That's like an overnight thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
very temporary. Nobody stays there more than a month until a bed comes free in a group home. Group home is long term. Our last group home, we were there for like 2.5 years because it was me and my 2 younger brothers. And the chances of 3 teenage African American males being placed in the same home, highly unlikely. Luckily, we got that at the end. But we stayed in there for a while because somebody would want my brother, someone would want 2 out of the 3, and I was like, no, we're package deal. I'm the older
Right.
brother, so it took a second, but it's just the process. You know, it's the foster homes. A good foster home is much better than a group home. A group home is, think of it as like almost like a boarding school.
Right.
It's an orphanage, it's a boarding school. So you know, it's luckily my last one. I had some good staff, some men. I'm still in contact with this to this day.
The guy.
Yeah, a couple of guys who work there.
Yeah.
Because you know they do it in shifts. And shout out to my dude Rama Williams, Darren Triplett, Mike Purdy. They stayed working there until me and my brothers got out, and they were just like our father figures at the time. So it's really cool keeping contact with them occasionally through Facebook and stuff.
Do you ever like go back and like do anything to, I don't know, like
Yeah, when I go back to Phoenix, some of the group homes I used to work at and stuff, I'm always, hey, I'm in town. If you guys got an event, I'll be happy to come speak. I work with a organization here called the Right Way Foundation,
Mhm.
and it helps kids who have aged out the system. So anytime they have an event, I go speak with them. I've done that like the last few years, and it's just a way of giving back. It's cool because it's like
that's gotta be helpful to them to
It's-
see that one of them, you know, has made it. Then it's like, oh, it's possible.
Well, you can't have what you can't see, and if you come
Right.
from that environment and you look at somebody who hasn't experienced what you experienced, like we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
it's hard for you to grasp onto that. But if it's like, yo, I'm not special, I went through XYZ, y'all can do it too. It just changes everything.
Mm. What did you get your degrees in?
Business marketing and mass media communication. Really cute pieces of paper that I'm doing absolutely nothing with. But being a black kid from the hood, going to college and graduating, that was what it was about for me. Once I
Yeah.
realized I wanted to be a speaker and actor, I was like, okay, let's just finish what you started. Because I was thinking about going to law school and all that. And me in law school, that would have been no bueno. But about junior year in college, I realized I love the speaking stuff. I took some public speaking classes and I got into acting, and I was like, yo, I love this. Like, this
Yeah.
is,
My thing.
I love it. I did plays and stuff in high school, but where I come from, you don't look at it as a real career path.
Mhm.
You just don't. So once I got to college, I was like, yo, this is kind of dope. Okay, let's
Yeah.
do this, and finish my degrees, and I've been chasing the dream ever since.
It's very amazing. And I want to ask you this. What do you think separated you? Because you obviously came out of this terrible condition where, like, you know, a lot of times when you look at people who just turn into bad adults,
Yeah.
whether they're just criminal, or they're just negative people who don't contribute much to their surroundings. A lot of times when you trace it back to their childhood, they've had similar environments as you did. You know, lots of physical violence, not a lot of empathy or respect or loving environment, not a lot of understanding. So I want you to tell me, like, what do you think it was that separated you from all those other people who turned bad, rightfully so, because they came from such bad childhood?
It's a number. So Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers.
Yes.
He talks about this, how some of these athletes, you know, there's just certain situations, certain things that we can point to if you pay closer attention to. So for me, I was a great athlete. I was a star basketball player. So I had an outlet for all that negativity and everything that could have kept me in the streets. I had a path, something to kind of anchor me there. And then just along the way, for lack of better words, just good people, a couple angels pop up every now and again to help me when I feel like I want to drop out, or in college when I was struggling and I needed a little extra money, just little things along the way. And then also, I don't want to say smart because I feel like I was a dumb kid or I did dumb stuff. But I didn't always know what I wanted, but I was smart enough to know what I didn't want. And so I always encourage people to go with that. When you're young or when you're in a horrible situation, you may not know what you want, but I'm like, what don't I want? I don't want to be like a lot of my family on drugs or selling drugs or locked up because of drugs. I don't want to be in the streets. You know, I've seen people get shot. I've seen people get robbed. I don't want that. What do I want? Oh, I got this friend over here. Their parents drive this car. They live in this house. They go in this neighborhood. What did they do? Oh, they went to college. They did this. Or like a lot of young black men from the hood, sports is outlet.
Yeah.
Entertainment is an outlet. So I had enough sense to focus my energy on that because I knew some people just don't know. I got a lot of friends who come from that and they just don't get that there's more.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yo, this is what's around me. Okay.
You pick what's familiar.
Right. You get comfortable, you know, and these cages, they become comfortable to you, very familiar. And I knew I didn't want that. So I just slowly kind of got away from those environments. And once you get away from those environments and you see more, you can start to achieve more. But you can't have what you can't see. So if you don't get out of your environment, get away from those people, it's not possible to you. You don't know it's possible. So my life probably would have been much different if I never got into the last foster care, to get into a home for 4 or 5 years, to know what that operates like. If I aged out of the group home and just went about my own way, I don't know where I would be. I mean, I wouldn't have been a criminal or nothing, but I definitely wouldn't be an actor on 3 shows, traveling, doing motivational speaking, sitting here with you. I definitely wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be that. So part of it is just some kids just need a break. They just need a little like sliver of hope to see there's more. And then there has to be something in you that grabs onto that. Because one of the closest people to me, my little brother, same environment, completely different path.
Yeah.
You know, he was locked up for 8 years because he just couldn't grab onto the same little slither of hope I had. He looked at the environment, the circumstances, and he got molded by it. So
he picked what was familiar.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my favorite stories is they ask these 2 brothers. One of them never drinks and never have drank. So they ask him, how come you never drink? And he goes, because my father used to be a drunk. They go to the other brother and they ask him, how come you're a drunk? And he goes, because my father used to be a drunk. So it's like you could come from the same environment and you could take that as like, oh, I'm going to do the same thing as my environment, or, oh, no, I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to go the opposite way.
Yeah, it's an individual thing. You know, it's at some point, you have to take responsibility. And I'm not going to go too extreme, and because some people look at me and use my story, well, if you can do it, other people do it. No, I'm different. I had a couple of different things working in my favor. But exactly what you said. You see it. I saw it. I just didn't want that. Watching some of the stuff my mother was dealing with, watching my mother get beat, eating out of trash cans, sleeping in parks, homeless shelters. There's no way in hell I wanted to be a part of that. And it's just, it's a shift in mindset. So I always say this when I speak. Before people meet me and I tell them my story, they would never think I've gone through what I've gone through. And I always ask them the same question. Just by looking at me, would you have thought I've gone through that? They're like, no. They're like, why? I'm like, because we don't look like our story. We don't look like our story, and we have this belief that our stories and our experiences form us. They don't. Everybody thinks, just like the story you were just telling me, well, my dad was an alcoholic, I need to be an alcoholic. No, your stories, your experiences don't form you, they inform you.
Right.
Everything we go through in life is information.
Very true.
And what matters is what we do with that information.
Absolutely.
So you can see, just like the two brothers, you can see, I saw my dad as an alcohol. I didn't want that. I saw as my dad as an alcohol. I come from my dad. I need to be that. So it's all about information, and what you do with that information will form you into the person you're going to become. So that was a shift for me. Like everything I'm going through, man, COVID hit, pandemic hit, this sucks. I'm missing out on jobs. Does it really suck? Or is this an opportunity for you to dive deeper into your dreams? Is this the break you actually needed because you were going too hard in the wrong direction? It's, you know, it doesn't form you, it informs you.
I absolutely agree. I feel like there are all these like tiny little hints that life throws you. I don't know if you've ever read The Alchemist.
Of course.
But it talks about
once
this.
a year.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That was one of my first books, and that's what I recommend everybody who's starting on the self-help, healing, or personal development journey. Read that first. It's a beautiful read.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite things is because it points out how there are all these little signs that, you know, your journey and your life throws at you. And you're either oblivious to them and you miss them because you can miss them.
Absolutely.
You know, you can miss opportunities. You can miss hints. People do it every day.
Yeah.
Or if you're paying attention, you could pick them up. And you don't have to pick them up 100% of the time, you know. As you said, it's like what you saying set you apart is because you had that common sense in you and that like desire to want to be better.
Absolutely.
But then you were picking up these little clues.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, and I love The Alchemist. I always go back to that time, you know, he lost everything and then he got stuck in a glass shop.
Yeah.
And he was working in there for a year and a half, and then he decided to go. I always go back to that. When you get stuck, I'm like, okay, let me read this. Let me go, especially in my business, you know, with the acting, especially. Oh, my goodness. You just never know when the next job is going to come, so you got to stay ready.
So let me ask you this, little segue here. In The Alchemist, and I hope like enough of you guys have read this book, so
if you haven't, get your life together and read it.
Yeah, seriously, like, what are you doing? It's super short, super easy to read. I never read novels or story type books, but I mean, this is a must. So I've always wondered about this part of the book where he's working in the glass shop. He meets the store owner, and the store owner tells him how he always wanted to go and see the house of God, right? I also read the book in a different language, I don't know if it was really House of God or if it was just because of my language.
Yeah, let's say House of God. Let's roll with that.
Is that really what in the English version? And then he goes, I had many opportunities to do it, but I never really did it. So, you know, it basically he missed his opportunity to do what he meant so much to him to do. So I always had this question, like, can you actually like miss your, like, I guess, fate?
Well,
your destiny? Can you miss your destiny? Can you like do the wrong thing and like end up in the wrong place and like miss your destiny?
I think only with athletics. Like, it's too late for me to go to NBA. Like, only in athletics, but in life in general, I don't think so. But I do think there's prime opportunities in these moments where it's like you need to get on this now.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to start a business and work 80 hours a week, you might want to do that before you start a family. Can you do it? Absolutely. But now you're balancing the dream and the job till the dream becomes the job.
Right.
So I think it's never too late as long as you got breath. But there are opportunities where it's going to be more organic and it's going to flow better to do what you want. I remember when I was like, hey, I want to do this acting stuff for real. Like, I moved back to Phoenix, Arizona after college, spent a couple years there doing that. I was like, yo, do you want to make a living off of this? You got to go to L.A. And I was doing a job. I was working in a group home, very successful because I connected with the young men. And they wanted to promote me 3 steps. It was the CEO, like the overall manager, and then me. I was about to skip 5 steps. I was about to make more money I ever made in my life. They offered me that. It was a Friday. I packed my car, moved to LA on a Monday. Because I was like, if I take that, I'm not going to leave. It's more money. It's not my destiny. And I was like, yo, you need to be, by the time you hit 25, you need to be pursuing this acting stuff because it's going to take some time. So, of course, if I wanted to wait until I was 60, I can pursue acting. It's just going to be harder. So I just think there's opportunities, there's prime moments to take those opportunities. That's what I believe. I don't think it's ever too late. Like I said, unless it's a physical thing, athletics. Come on now. I got some cats when I go hoop at the gym. Like, you like 45? No, you can't make the league no more. Stop it. You are LA Fitness All-Star, bro. Like, so you can miss those, but I think other opportunities in life, no, absolutely not. It might be harder.
Yeah.
That just means you got to work more.
So you can't miss your destiny.
I don't.
You can't make a wrong turn somewhere and just miss what was meant for you.
No, maybe in that form, maybe in that moment, you missed that opportunity. But if you learn from that and you come back around, I don't see why you can't. It just, like I said, it just might be more difficult. Some things you get thrown a bone.
Yeah.
An opportunity where it's just like my first big acting opportunity. It was a acting classmate of mine. We haven't spoken in a couple years, and my speaking was really going extremely well, right? I was finally able to leave the whole doing security, starving artist stuff, right? And a speaking gig got canceled. It was big. It was Kentucky University.
Why'd you cancel?
No, it got canceled.
Oh.
Something happened with them, and I was so dejected. I'm getting back from the gym. I'm showering. I get a call. I'm like, who's this? Like, hey, Monty, can you make it down to BET an hour? I'm like, for what? This audition, 9-page audition. I'm in the Uber. I'm going. I'm learning this stuff. It's the producer session. So typically you have the first take, you have the callback, you have chemistry, then you have producer session. I went straight to that. I was just ready because I just got back into acting classes again because I put acting away for a little while because speaking was so lucrative. And that opportunity, because I got back into my acting, I wasn't rusty. I was able to go in there with execs and everybody and absolutely kill it. And it became my first big role. It was just an opportunity. I'm not saying that another opportunity wouldn't come up, but if I wasn't ready with my acting, if I didn't rededicate myself, I would have bombed that. 9 pages, the biggest opportunity of my life.
It's like opportunity meets luck.
Yep, and a little preparation. But that's what you got to have. So sometimes things just work in you. And they literally wanted a strong-looking big brother like me, okay?
Is that the bruh?
No. That's bruh is later. Bruh, I got that the traditional way. I earned that one. But that's games people play. It's on BET. We just filmed the second season last month. It comes out in October. The bruh one, that's like the first.
I love that one.
Yeah. Bruh's dope. It's yeah. I get to play a very toxic male, and
which is so far from like who you actually are, and like your whole like
I wish some people knew that because people be sliding in the DMs. I can't stand you. Like, yo, I'm an actor. Relax. This is fake, okay? Like, chill.
People get so caught up. I will never forget one of my friend's mom. Once my friend told me that his mom is planning on donating 50 meals to hungry people if her favorite character in the movie was going to stay alive.
What?
People get...
That is horrible. How about you donate it anyways? How about that?
People get so...
That's horrible.
People get so attached.
It's
like
funny.
They forget that this person is not real. This character is not real.
That is hilarious. Yeah, nah, it gets like that. But yeah, just the opportunities, there's certain opportunities that come easier and more organic. And if you are ready, that might get you to your destiny faster.
Right.
But if you do miss out, if you do bull, if you don't prepare, if you don't move with intention, I say MIM, make intentional moves. I always ask myself every morning, what are you doing today? Are you busy? Or are you being productive? Are you making intentional moves? Or are you just moving? And if you make intentional moves, just like you were talking about with the Alchemist, you'll pay attention to the signs.
Yeah.
You'll start seeing them everywhere because you're in tune with it. And if you don't, you're just going to look up and like, damn, I don't like my life. I don't like where I'm at. What happened?
Lost.
Yeah, you might get lost. But once you get back on track, you can find your destiny again. It just might be harder.
I feel like everyone goes, and I mean, I'm nowhere near the age to like look back at my life and in retrospect have like this. But for what I've lived and for what I've seen, I feel like everyone has a phase where they're lost.
Absolutely.
Like, you gotta get lost to get found.
Multiple phases. If you're, especially if you're trying to achieve something that's greater, you
Yeah.
have to, because we don't know. I know I'm going to be at the Oscars. I know I'm going to own a studio like this, multiple
Yes.
studios like this, and have an incredible. I know the process is going to take some time, and in that process, when you have these goals and these expectations, and they're not being met, you're like, oh my God, am I on the right path? You do all that, but then you come back down. I study Stoicism.
Oh, wow. Love that.
I love it. And Marcus Aurelius, the greatest emperor Rome ever had, he's always talking about you can't get too high and get too low. Recently, I forgot that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I just got back from Tulum for my birthday, which was
Nice.
crazy good. Just the best birthday ever. Went to Tulum. I'm coming off this high. I get a straight to producer session for a huge show with 2 actors I grew up watching. Like, yo, if I get to act across from them, I just made a big step. I'm one of the 3 people to get this movie offer. Somebody offered me a movie to shoot in Canada. I would have been there right now. It was between me and 2 other people. And all this happened right there. I'm like, whoo. I just finished the show. I got this. We're going to do the 3rd season of Bruh soon. I'm like, this is the year. They end up offering the movie to somebody else, and I'm talking about all the stuff I want to do. The show, they end up going another route just because the main dude, I think I favored a little too much. Completely out of my control.
Yeah.
But I was so high. I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm LeBron right now. I'm about to get the ring. And then that didn't happen. I'm like, oh, back to the drawing board. What the hell am I doing? You can't get too high and get too low. I got so high hoping and expecting something and talking about all this stuff before it actually happened. And because of that high, you only can drop. You're not going to come back down a level real low. And so it was about a week. I'm sure my lady can contest. It was about a week where I was a sorry sack, as they say. I was not me. But it's just, you got to find that balance in life. You got to find it. When you're up, embrace it. Be grateful. When you're winning, be grateful. When you're losing, be humble. How can I learn from this experience? So now I'm taking this time to practice what I call active patience. Like, people I'm not a patient person, so patience is not a damn virtue. I don't care what nobody says. It's not. It's a hindrance. It's an annoyance. But active.
I bet she's the patient one.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, facts.
Someone's got to be patient.
Someone. But it's like, I call it active patience. So it's like, what are you doing in that moment while you're waiting for the next big thing? You can't be sitting around. It's like, I look for an opportunity. Like, how can I get better as an actor? How can I get better as a speaker? That's part of the reason I jumped on TikTok and started going live more, because I'm a crowd mover. And most of my gigs got canceled because of COVID. A lot of them got moved to virtual. And I was just like, I need to do something.
Figure it out.
I need to keep this going because I don't want to get rusty. And that's how I started doing lives on TikTok. And I'm like, okay, active patience. I'm working on this. And now in the fall, my speaking is going to pick up again. So that's what I'm talking about. And that between time when things seem slow and you might feel lost, what can you do to better yourself and improve yourself?
Yeah. I always have this like analogy. I think like if your whole term of your life is, let's say, one day, like just hypothetically, and let's say like your life is like your navigation, like Google navigation or maps if you're weird. And like you're going on the highway and you miss your exit, it's going to reroute and give you the next closest exit, right? If you miss that, it's going to reroute, give you the next exit. If you really keep missing your exits, it is going to reroute and try to keep getting you to like, hey, go here. But you could really spend your whole life or your whole day just like keep missing your exits and like keep going on the highway.
Because you're texting on your phone, you're not paying attention.
Right, you're not paying attention. You're just like do. But I do feel like it keeps, like, have you noticed when a lot of times this happens to me a lot because I usually don't learn from my mistakes the first time. A lot of times I feel like the same lesson keeps happening until I get it.
Yes.
Like, I've literally had the same thing happen like 7 times in my life. And this last time it happened, I was like, seriously? Pay attention. That's what it is. I mean, that rerouting analogy is perfect. And just like that, you get rerouted. Just get stuck on the highway.
You're going to have to do a lot of detours. You're going to have to come back. And I fail great.
Yeah.
I'm not get it right the first time guy. That's not me. Nothing I do, I nail it out the park the first time. but I learn so well. I
Yeah.
learn from my
It's
lessons.
like once you learn.
Once I get it, it ain't gonna take me 7. It might take me 2.
Two's pretty goddamn
it
good.
might take me a couple, but I'm gonna learn because I don't want to make that same mistake. It's all right to fail. It's all right to come up short. But if you
Yeah.
keep coming up short, you got to look at yourself. You got to ask yourself, like, oh, what am I doing? What am I not doing? What am I missing out on? Because it's stopping you from progressing and getting to where you ultimately want to be.
Right. And it could be like some things, like some aspects of your life, you keep like picking up the hints and doing right, but then some aspects you keep missing the hints. Like I know so many people who are extremely successful in their career, but when it comes to their intimate relationships, they're completely retarded. And I'm like, how are you so intelligent with your career? You make all the right choices.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to emotional or intimate situations, it's just not there.
They don't address it. And I find a lot of times with that is, particularly with dudes, you know what I'm saying? Particularly with us dudes, we like to man up, right? And I'm all for manning up, but in a different way. So I always laugh at this. When a woman goes through something, y'all call the troops. Y'all going to happy hour. Y'all going to brunch. Y'all going getting all the girls. Oh my God, we need to talk about. Y'all have like, it's like Avengers Assemble for
You guys
women.
just suppress it all.
It's like we either suppress, we don't talk about it. Like, yo, we gonna get a drink, and we don't talk about it. We talk about the game. And I
Why
think
is that?
it's just a lot of it is just conditioning. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of us men have been brought up to view emotions and vulnerability as a weakness. And I'm like, yo, you gotta address it. The way I man up, I feel what I'm feeling. You acknowledge I don't feel right. And in the past, it's like, I don't feel right. Forget talking about it. Let's handle it. That's just, in general, that's how a lot of men work. We want to get the results handled. Women typically want to understand why you feel like that. You go through this process, and then y'all get to business. So a lot of dudes, I'm like, feel what you're feeling. Ask yourself why. Why do I feel like this? Why am I vulnerable? Why do these emotions make me feel uncomfortable? Because we're not used to processing those emotions. We bypass those emotions and we go straight to business. But what we miss out on is that opportunity to make sure those emotions happen less and less. So you got to lean into that vulnerability. You got to admit, I know I'm the man and all this. I feel weak as hell right now. Why do I feel weak? Well, because I do this. Okay, how can I fix this? Now get your butt up and go to work. So it's this processing of emotions, like, processing your emotions don't make you less of a man. It makes you a way better man.
Right. I love that.
I go for drives. I'll talk about it later. I'm going to go for a drive. I'm going to handle it. I'm going to get in my head. Then we're going to talk about it. Then we're going to come up with a solution. And it's important. Women, y'all will talk about it. Y'all will go through it. Y'all will do it. But once y'all find your solution to the problem, you're good.
Yeah.
Dudes, we suppress that. We suppress it. And then that's why when we blow up, we blow up.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real. When dudes lose it, people lose lives.
It's true.
So it's like,
very true.
you got to handle that. So what you were talking about in relationships, you can be great in business, but if you haven't handled your emotions, your body remembers emotions.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being in the back of a cop car as a kid because the neighbors called the cops on us because my mom left us, and I was in the back of the car and they were just taking us somewhere safe, and I thought I was going to jail. And I remember being back there in that fear and how I felt. And this was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or something like that. You feel that, it stays with you. And so for a lot of men, that stays with you. You have a lot of grown boys masquerading around as alpha males because they weren't told I love you enough, because they weren't told I'm proud of you enough. And so we kind of carry all this energy. That's why dudes are always, I got to be tight. I got to stick my chest out. I was like, yo, relax, bro. Take a breath. Woosah. You know what I'm saying? Let's process this stuff. Let's be better from it.
It's okay to feel weakness sometimes as a man.
Just feel it. You don't have to stay like that. I don't like feeling weak, but what I don't like more is staying weak.
Yeah.
And if I don't process my emotions, if I don't get to why this is bothering me, which for me a lot of it was childhood trauma, so I had to go to therapy. Newsflash, therapy helps.
Yeah.
It is awkward as hell sitting there talking about your emotions. It is weird, but it helps. Tremendously.
How does it help? Is it that your therapist tells you like what the right thing to do, or is it just that when you talk about things and you put your emotions to words, it helps you clear your mind and then figure it out yourself?
It's all a good therapist just gets you to come to the conclusion. yourself.
Mhm.
That's all. It's so much stuff we don't talk about, especially speaking as a man. Like the pressure I have, a lot of people don't know, and the couple gentlemen in the room, you can know, like there's a lot of pressure being a man that the world
Yeah.
don't talk about or care about.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and don't get me wrong, we live in a male-dominated society. It don't compare a woman's plight to a man's. It is harder to be a woman in a male-dominated society and every
But-
single day. But that doesn't mean that, dudes, we don't have to carry all this
Yeah.
weight. We got to plan, protect, provide all these stigmas that has been tossed upon us. We got to carry
Right.
that with us. And so we have to learn how to process that and understand, like, yo, it's all right. It's all right to ask for help. It's all right to process this. It's all right. I tell all my boys I love you. At first,
Oh.
like, man, stop acting gay. I'm like, chill. Like, first off, stop with the homo stuff, okay? Like the homophobe stuff. Like, I love you, bruh. I love you. Say it back.
Do they
we can
say it
say
back?
that. Yeah, they do now.
Sometimes good dudes are so.
Oh,
weird
no,
about
they do it
that.
now. Like, I love you too, because I've normalized it. And we have to
Yeah.
normalize showing that kind of love and
Yeah.
affection to each other and not making it weird. Man, get off me. You gonna come give me a hug.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to kiss you on the lips. I just want a hug. Bro. Like, chill. You need a hug. Look at you.
I love that you turned out this way. That's so
Oh,
awesome.
It's a lot of work. Trust me, I was quite the opposite. I had
You
a lot of
literally-
toxic traits, but
You literally took a U-turn and you were like, fuck all that in my background. I'm going to do the exact opposite thing.
it's a better life.
I
It's
love
a better
it.
life. We can't identify with our trauma and let it, be this mask we wear
Right.
and come up with excuses all the time, because some people just live it out for the longest time. It was my mom. Oh, it was my mom. It was my No, I'm not successful. I'm grown now. Get help, seek
Make your own
counseling, get therapy,
choices.
make your own choices. Exactly.
So amazingly, you make these videos on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
where you talk about where is it? I have it here. I can't find it.
Which one?
Wow.
Remind me. I got it. I know all of them.
No, because I always have a laptop, so it's like much easier to see, and this
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
so tiny right now, and I'm blind. Okay, so he makes content on self-love, positive masculinity, and men's mental health tips.
Mm-hmm.
I even have like a couple of your videos pulled up. Let me see. If you don't mind, can we play a couple of them,
Let's
Joe?
do it. Let's do it.
Can we play like that one that says men's mental health tip? And I think
things
this
men don't want to hear.
yeah, this one. So this one I think was one of the ones that like did the best also on your page.
Yeah, there was a few. Also, being in the jungle in Tulum was a nice little background. People like that.
Okay, so let's play that.
Men's mental health tip. Honor all your emotions, fellas. Honor when you feel insecure. Honor when you feel weak. Honor when you feel less than yourself. By hiding your emotions, you're denying your emotions, and it's stopping you from seeing the solution to how you can get back to feeling like yourself and get your mental health right. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
And it's like so simple, but it's like for whatever the reason, the word emotion is correlated with feminine
Absolutely.
and women.
Absolutely.
And it's like when you think of a man showing emotions, showing weakness, talking about his fears and insecurities or crying,
Mm-hmm.
it's like immediately guys are so dismissive of it. Men are so dismissive of a man who would show those, vulnerable things.
And that's the problem. It's this relation to emotions and weakness. No,
yeah.
I gotta express that. When I get it out, I will cry.
Yeah.
I'll go in a car. It's different. Like women, y'all get in the group, just let it out, girl. Just let it out. And y'all do your cry thing, and y'all cool, dudes. It's all right. If I don't want to give, hey guys, I'm gonna need y'all to just hold around, bro. I'm not talking about like that. But if I need to, I will go for a walk. I do my meditation. I pray. And if I feel it, why the hell am I holding it in? Let it out. I will let it out. I'll go for a drive and I'll just let it out because I'm frustrated.
It's healthy.
And then it's healthy. Emotions stick with you. And that's why you don't see female mass shooters. You don't.
Facts.
You don't. I was watching this comedian. He's like this comedian, I think is Sam Morril. He's like, men and women, women kill the same way they make love. And same thing with dudes. Dudes will be like, I will murder everything in here. Women will be like, I need to get to know you first. So it's like one of those things where it's like when we blow up and we do horrendous stuff because so many years, we've been holding it in. So
Yeah.
when we allow those emotions to go, it's not the emotions from the thing that triggered you. It's the emotions from years and years of repressing it. So I
Yeah.
don't want to feel like that. I don't want to walk around angry or
Yeah.
aggressive. I want to walk around cool and calm and collected. In order to do that, every time I get to a heavy place in my emotions, I got to let it out. That's why I suggest morning journaling. I wake up with anxiety, fear like everybody else. I pray, I meditate, I do some journaling, and it helps me release that. And when things get too much, I have no problem crying. I have no
Yeah.
problem processing that emotions. If I don't want to do it with my lady, I'll call my closest dude. Yo, bro, let's go get a drink, man. I just want to chop it up. And it's so healthy. It's a better life, fellas. It's a better life.
Your friends are so lucky to have you as a guy friend, because like
Most of the time.
guys don't do that for each other for whatever the reason. For whatever the reason, it's like, why don't you guys talk with each other? And it's like, okay, I get it. I'm actually not, like, when things happen in my life, I'm not one of those girls that like calls my girlfriends and we get together and
Y'all
like,
don't go do mimosas or anything like that?
no. I am a strong, for whatever the reason, I'm like a little, I don't want to say secretive, but I'm just a little private, especially
private and personal, yeah.
with my like personal things. I'm not one to like hit up 10 women and be
Mhm.
like, let's go and I'm gonna tell you everything.
Right.
Because I never really look for advice from other people, and people really tend to project their own life experiences and their
Ooh,
histories when they
facts.
give you advice.
Mhm.
And they mean well, but it's just they can't help because that's all they've known.
If you take on somebody's opinion, be prepared to take on their
Right.
lifestyle.
Exactly. And so it might not apply to your situation, and I really believe that you're the only person who knows how to handle your, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
So I kind of like self-medicate in a way where like you said, I just journal. Like I have like different journals for different things.
Mhm.
One for goals and dreams and hopes and plans, one for accounting, one for like mental errors. Whenever
I
I
love it.
like fuck up, I like write it down. So I'm like, I literally became like my own therapist in a way. I will just like sit and write,
That's real.
or I talk to my mom because
Well, you gotta have somebody to talk to.
she's the only person I trust.
It's just sometimes it's just getting it out. It's just getting it out, and whether you get that out through your writing,
Yeah.
it's just something about just getting that out.
Getting it
and
out.
sometimes it works with people, and sometimes you want some feedback, and sometimes you just want people to listen.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And absolutely, men, get it out. Just get it out of yourself. Get those emotions out. Cry,
Just
scream.
process your emotions in a healthy way, fellas. Let's just process them.
But then there are dudes that just like are always crying. And, like,
No,
that-
see, there's extremes.
that's
hold
not-
up, hold up, hold up.
That's not.
There's,
that's
there's,
not sexy.
there's extremes. I'm not gonna be like, you know what? My show, I just finished watching the season of Bridgerton. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life. Like, no, let's not. Women forget that. Nobody wants a crybaby. Nobody
Yeah.
wants somebody who's always playing a victim who can't get their ish together.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. But then also somebody don't want somebody who's like stone brick wall. I don't show emotions. It's a balance. Damn it, we're human. We duality is built into us.
Yeah.
You have your highs and your lows. All I'm encouraging is process it. Don't do the toxic positivity. Everything's gonna be great. No,
Yeah.
if things suck, they suck.
Yeah.
Live with it, deal with it, handle it, process it, begin to make moves to get out of it.
And understand that doesn't take away from your masculinity.
Absolutely not.
Like, some guys hold their masculinities so insanely high and close to their heart. They identify with it.
Yeah.
They overdo it. And it just becomes this thing where you can almost immediately identify in them. Like, you see it and you see that,
Yeah.
like, fake
Yeah.
puff.
Yeah.
In their chest.
It's just compensation. It's just compensation for, our inability to acknowledge that there are moments of weakness. There's these
Yeah.
things going on. Every dude's alpha. Not every dude is an alpha male. Stop it. Not every dude is a leader. There's so many different ways, and we need that.
It's okay.
It's
Not everyone
perfectly
needs to be
fine,
a
yo.
leader.
We don't. Be a great follower. Be a great helper.
You have these series on TikTok that are my absolute favorite. Things men don't want to hear.
Yeah, you and every other woman, they love that.
It's just so it's so very breath of fresh air to see, not just a man, but like a manly man, a masculine man, to stand up and be like, this. Can we play
Things
it?
men don't want to hear, part 5. A lot of us men don't like feminists or feminism because we feel like it's an attack on our masculinity. And that's because so much of our masculinity is rooted in the oppression of women. And because feminism seeks to liberate women from that oppression, we feel attacked. I know I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah, I get hit up. So many dudes come, oh man, you a pick me, you're this. I'm like, bro, no, I'm
You're-
saying it. Like, and it's the same thing. I had one of those talking about nice guys. Like, don't be a nice guy, be a good man. Because I know so
Yeah.
many nice guys, you're only being nice because you think it's going to get you closer to that woman. Because maybe you don't have the money or the ridiculous good looks that you can lean on. So you figure, I got to figure out a way to get what I want. So I'm going to be nice.
True.
And I know how many dudes, I ain't being nice no more. So you were just doing it. That's manipulation. If you're just being nice to get something, that's not who you are. So forget being nice. Be a good person. Be a good man. Because if you do that, regardless of the outcome, you're going to remain true to yourself. Regardless, if I try to hit on you and you turn me down, I'm not going to be like, whatever, hoe.
Yeah.
And just like walk away. I'm just like, all right, cool. I might have my feelings hurt. But because I'm a good dude, I'm not going to go ahead and like flip the script on you and just be like, no, forget you. You stuck up. Okay, so you were only being nice because you thought it would get you what you wanted.
And then your ego got hurt.
Oh, yeah, that ego. Fellas, that ego edging good out. That ego, it's no bueno. It's no bueno. It is no bueno.
So with those series, what are like some of like your top main pointers with that?
Things men don't want to hear. It's just we got to hold each other accountable. For whatever reason, it's not right, ladies. But yeah, dudes tend to listen to dudes more.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's just like me being a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a white guy say the exact same things I'm doing, and white people are going to listen to him more and be like, oh, wow, he does have a point. Black people are suffering. You hear me? Whatever, that's just a black guy.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with women. Women have been saying the same stuff I'm saying right now. Women say this all the damn time, but it goes in one ear out the other.
Yeah.
If you get a dude like myself, a dude, you know, I consider myself an alpha. You know, I'm a masculine dude. I'm a man's man, whatever you want to say. And if I say that, some dudes are going to be rubbed the wrong way, and other dudes are like, oh, damn, okay, maybe. It's just holding ourselves accountable.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff in the world messed up because of us dudes.
Yeah.
A reason why women feel oppressed, it ain't because of other women. Women don't fear other women walking down the street or going to a club or walking to your car. They fear us. So I'm just encouraging fellas like, yo, we got to call ourselves out on our bullshit. Because if we don't, nothing's going to change. So the more of us hold each other accountable, there's a greater chance that a lot of stuff that you women are talking about can actually be addressed and become normalized.
I love that. It's like when you see your friend acting wacky or say something shitty, you're like, call him out. Don't just be acting like a bro and just go with it. Call him out.
Yeah, I get called a hater. Dudes be in the DMs. They be, man, you fake. You shut up. I go to their page. I'm like, you don't even post. Shut up.
I'm 100% with you on that, and thank you for putting that content out there.
Oh yeah, you know, hey, thank y'all for eating it up. It's every time I put one out, I'm like, okay, this is about to get hundreds of thousands of views. Here comes the hate. People be going in the comment section going at it. I'm like, I'm out of it. I just said what I had to say in 15 seconds. Y'all do what you want
don't
with it.
check the comments. It needs to be out there. It's like the beginning of people like, you know, starting to say things more and more and more and more, and slowly, as you said, it's gonna like become more familiar to people's ears, and they're gonna start thinking about it.
It needs to be, because a lot of dudes, and to get on my fellas back, a lot of the stuff that we do now that women look at and it's like, oh, that's nasty, that's toxic, that's inappropriate. We just didn't know better. I call women baby and sweetheart for the longest. If I just met you and I was like, hey, what's up, how you doing, baby? And a lot of women look at that now like, hold up, that's too familiar. Or if I say sweetheart, to me, I'm being cool and smooth. But I've been told by women in my life, hold up, you can't do that, because sweetheart is like, hey, sweetheart.
Yeah, it's condescending.
I don't mean, that's not my intention. So a lot of dudes don't know that. And keeping it 100, like in 9th grade, I was going around smacking girls' butts thinking it's cute. Like, I'm good, but I'm a nice looking dude, so I got away with it. If I do that now, that's called sexual harassment.
Yeah.
I thought I was being funny and cute.
Yeah.
So we have to unlearn a lot of things that we were allowed to get away with in the past. So a big part of it is just unlearning and not getting too defensive. When a woman does point out to us, like, I find that offensive. Well, I didn't mean that. It doesn't matter if we did not mean that. You weren't the one who was offended. So take it in, step back, and be like, oh, that wasn't appropriate.
Yep. We're correcting ourselves.
That's it. Simple.
Where can people find you?
Oh, hit me up. Okay. Montivation, Montivation on Instagram. Don't follow me on Facebook. You ain't gonna
Facebook.
Don't. That's for the aunties and the uncles and people in high school who act like they know you. But yeah, Montivation, Montivation on TikTok.
Yes.
That's, you know, I try to do a live every day, and then Montivation on Instagram. And yeah, be on the lookout. A year from now, we're gonna have some stuff. I'm doing some programs, coming up with some merch. Working on that next book. And also you can catch me on my show, Tyler Perry's Bruh. It's on the BET Plus app. I play Bill, a very sloppy, toxic, confused gentleman, as well as Games People Play, which comes out on BET. So we're doing some things.
Perfect. Yeah, you are. Thank you so much for coming. This was great.
Thank you for having me. It's amazing. I love it. Speak your brain. You're speaking.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Move with the rhythm, shake it up, stop when the clock hits 13. You've been working, but you're flirting with the weekend. You can freak out.